はい、それではですね、クォンタムブロックの開発者の、フィリップさんを迎えての、ズーム、講演会を始めさせていただきます。皆さん、おはようございます。朝からですね、今日のズーム講演会にご参加をいただきまして誠にありがとうございます。フィリップさんはですね、今、ニューヨークではない、マイアミですね、マイアミの方に、いられまして、で、そこから、参加をしていただいております。で、現地時間がですね、ちょっと9時過ぎということで、フィリップさん実は10時ぐらいにはいつも寝られているということで、ちょっと早めにですね、終わる可能性もありますので、だいたい1時間15分ぐらいですね、それぐらいをめどに考えておりますので、よろしくお願いいたします。で、まず最初にフィリップさんには、この、お話をしていただきます、コンタムブロック、のですね、技術や、いろいろな検証がありまして、そういったリサーチの結果だとか、そういったことですね、お伝えをさせていただきます。で、最後ですね、15分から20分ぐらい、質疑応答の時間を、設けまして、その時にですね、フィリップさんに、質問を投げかけたいと思います。で、質問はですね、チャットの、コラムの方に、随時ですね、打ち込んでいただければ、こちらの方で、それをピックアップして、後ほどですね、質問させていただきますので、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。はい。では、時間もですね、あまりありませんので、早速、フィリップさんに、お話をしていただきたいと思います。Okay, so please, yeah, start speaking.
Okay, so can everyone understand me through the translation? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So just interrupt me when I'm too fast, or also everyone, you can ask questions. What I think it's best to keep the questions for later. So
Yes.
when you have questions, put them in the chat or write them down so we can talk about the questions later. So we will talk about quantum technology and human potential, unlocking energy and vitality. And we will share some new, very exciting research results. So let me go to this slide. This is an overview that shows how much research has been done already with the Lila quantum technology. It's quite remarkable because at no biohacking conference or longevity conference, we have found a company with more research for their products than what has been researched with our quantum technology. Over 60 different research studies all over the world. Over 40 of those studies are placebo-controlled studies. And we have a lot of ongoing studies as well. What is very exciting is because the quantum technology that we offer with all those different frequencies, they can help in so many different areas. That's why so many different research fields have been part of studies. Just a few examples: electromagnetic fields, cellular recovery, brain performance. So in the brain, ATP production, food sensitivity, man's health, women's health, trauma response, heart rate variability, mitochondrial functions, toxins, it's very important. Pets' well-being. So what does that mean? For example, for cats or for dogs, there's a lot of research that has been done as well. And of course, last but not least, water analysis. So we found in the latest studies that we have performed over the last 12 months significant improvements in brain waves so that we could show, first of all, that our technology is able to neutralize any and all stressors of electromagnetic fields, so of 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, and so on, onto the brain. And it was able to completely de-stress the brain from a very stressed state. And the so important alpha activity in the limbic system, we were able to increase by 13x. That is important, Hero, that this got understood. I don't know if the AI has translated it correctly. By 13x, so 1,300% increase in alpha activity in the limbic system. That is absolutely a medical breakthrough for something that is completely non-invasive because you don't have to take a shot, you don't have to take medication. It is quite phenomenal. Also, you can see here the heart rate variability constantly improved. There are many studies that show this, but in this specific study, it was also shown. Here you just see also again differences of stress brain with 5G exposure, and then you see the how the brain looks like with quantum energy. And it's important to note that the measurement they used is a 256 channel EEG device. It is the most advanced EEG device in the world. It can look into the brain like an MRT scan. And in this case here, you see just an example. There was the 2 times boxing world champion, Natalie Zimmerman, who got tested and actually even filmed. There were other studies, many other studies in regards to 5G exposure, where it shows that our technology helps. Moving on to cellular function. So everything in all of our cells, the mitochondria produce ATP. That is the energy that we produce in our cells. And the question was, can our quantum technology increase the ATP production? And so Dr. Robert Sheaf in the USA at the University of Tulsa ran 3 different ATP production studies that were randomized and double-blind. And you can see here what happened. A 20 to 29% increase in ATP production. That is massive. It's also a medical breakthrough because to get 20% ATP production only, you would have to do a lot of different things. And here you can do it just with increasing the energy level. The same Professor Dr. Robert Sheaf, he also ran 5 studies that were randomized and double-blind in regards to wound healing. So you can also say cell recovery. The way they do that is that they scratch cells with a laser so that the cells are damaged, and you have millions of cells in the control group and millions of cells in the so-called experimental group that gets treated with our technology. And then you see how fast do these cells heal. And it's randomized and double blind. So what you see here is another medical breakthrough. You see that the cells, the human cells, actual human cells that were exposed to the quantum technology healed 46 to 100% faster than the cells that were not treated with quantum energy. And of course, that is relevant for everyone, right? Because humans have injuries, whether it's a bone injury or a muscle injury, or I have an open wound with blood, or, my skin is damaged. There are a lot of issues that we have, and when we can heal so much faster just by having the right energy, it's fantastic. This is a little bit of a refresher because I don't know if some people are new here in the webinar and maybe some people have seen this before, but I still find it fascinating to look at the blood and what our technology is capable of. So these blood studies, they were also done placebo-controlled, sham-controlled, and blinded. And they were done in the US by highly respected Dr. Beverly Rubik. She's one of the top 3 researchers in the US in regards to live blood analysis. And then also by the BESA Institute in Austria, in Europe. Here you can see, and this is, by the way, basically pictures from the actual study that was done with our block technology. In this case, it was the quantum block, if I'm not mistaken, or the travel block, one of the two. But all blocks do this. Just the stronger blocks do it faster and can do a little more. The weaker blocks are not so fast, but they still do it.
すいません、今ちょっと旅行ブロックって出たんで、トラベルブロックですね。ちょっと翻訳の間違いがありますけれども、トラベルブロックを使ってこの研究がされました。Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. And so on the left-hand side, you see the baseline blood. So that's when the test person, without any Wi-Fi, gets tested. The blood looks okay. It's not very healthy, but it's also not very bad. Then they turn on Wi-Fi. And then suddenly, within 10 minutes, the blood looks ugly. Absolutely terrible. That's stage 2 of blood clotting. That is very unhealthy. It is means a higher risk of heart attack, a higher risk of stroke, higher risk of heart disease. You even can detect that white blood cells get paralyzed by electromagnetic fields. Then in the third picture you see, still the Wi-Fi was on, but then our block was introduced, and suddenly the blood reorganizes and it gets into a perfect condition, almost perfect condition. The red blood cells are very separated. The blood clotting went away within just 10 minutes. White blood cell activity is there again. So that's what you want to see. So that's a very, very healthy blood circulation. So this is interesting, and Hiro and I spoke about this earlier. You already know about the research that that Emoto did with I think our water bottle and with the quantum block.
Yes.
And now over the years we have further improved our technology and advanced it, right? So now the Bion Institute uses a completely different testing method for water, which is very interesting for us to look at different perspectives, right? So the Modo office looks at water this way, and then the Bion Institute looks at it this way. And there's a chemist in Germany that had a different study, and they look at it this way. And from all perspectives, you can see that our technology improves water quite significantly. So this study here at the Bion Institute in Slovenia in Europe was triple blind and randomized. And the results were fascinating. They will soon be published. And they had neutralizing effects in acidic and alkaline solution with statistical significance. They were loosening water clusters and created more fluent water dynamics. And significant differences were shown at pH 4 and increased UV absorption near blood pH. And to me, what was so fascinating is that you see this on the left-hand side. It's a long quote. That is what the Bion Institute, they wrote a long report, but this is like one of the quotes.
Okay,
And in
let
essence,
me read that in Japanese.
you
Okay.
want to read this in Japanese?
Yeah, I read. この左側に出てる、これは、サーティフィケイト、証明書みたいなものなんですけれども、で、ここのですね、スロベニアの、BION 研究機構というところが、水の物理化学的特性に関してのテストをしまして、で、このクォンタムエネルギーがですね、その水を、とても、理想的な、水に変えたということで、文章があるんですけれども、で、その文章を読みますと、統計的に優位な結果に基づき、水へのエネルギー影響認定証を取得。これを体内への影響に、考えると、ホメオ、スタシスを支援する、という可能性があるでしょうと。様々なpHレベルにおける電気伝導率の低下と、水分子クラスターの緩みが示唆されることから、広範囲な分子集合体における水の動的構造が、ちょっと難しいんですけど、中間スケールレベルで変化していることが伺えます。これを、生態に当てはめて考えると、このような水はより流動性が高いため、細胞膜を通過しやすくなると想像されますと。クラスターが小さくなって、よりですね、細かい水になって、体の隅々に栄養素を届けてくれるような、そんな水に、なるという、その証明ですね。その、文章でした。Okay.
Thank you, Hiro. So,
This is done by Superblock.
yes, this was the super block.
Many
And
you put?
okay, so this here is also interesting. So, an institute out of the USA, it's called Reputable Health. They came to us last year and they said, we see big problems in the world and in the US with fertility of women. And we wonder if your technology can help with that. And I said, I believe so, but we don't have any research in regards to women's fertility and women's health. So they said, we would like to facilitate the research. We heard about your technology and we believe it can help. So we would like to run a research study. So they ran a study with 100 women, and it was placebo-controlled, blinded, and randomized. So a really good study again. And by the way, it's in the process of being published also in a medical journal. It takes some time because the mainstream medical journals, they are very hesitant with anything that has to do with frequencies because they don't understand much about it. But it is coming, which is great. So here you see some of the key findings of this study. So on the right-hand side, when you look, you can see that, again, it was 100 women. Anxiety and fear was reduced by over 30%. Sleep disruption, so bad sleep basically, was reduced by over 30%. Depression was reduced by almost 10%. And now moving on, maybe menstrual pain is, that is an important factor, got reduced by about 18%. And memory loss, like issues with memories, were reduced by 20%. So the memory got better. At the same time, they also measured the HRV, the heart rate variability, and it also improved across the board. Now, this was an interesting study because we talked about the blood already. And I don't know if I shared this with Hiro even yet, but the Besa Institute found at some point that parasitic loads, so parasites in the blood, can be reduced with our technology. And then I said, wow, this is a great finding, but we need a real study so that we can show it to people. And so there was a 6-month study done, so 6 month, placebo-controlled, blinded, and randomized. And they found a significant reduction in parasitic load in the blood of everyone in the experimental group. So the ones that got treated with the quantum energy.
Which quantum block you use for this experiment?
So the strength level is comparable to the infinity block.
Infinity block.
That would be about the strength level, yes. But you can, as I said, you can do this with all the blocks. I think the quantum block is the only one that's not so powerful. The quantum block is a little bit different. So I would always go with one of the stronger blocks, which are, the infinity block, the latest travel block, and we will talk about this, and the super block. The super block is the biggest, and it's also the most powerful device. So I can do everything a little bit faster and a little bit better. That's how you can think of it, right? It's like cars. You have an okay car, then you have a great car, and then you have the fastest car and the best car, right? So that's pretty much how you can think of also the different blocks. And what's very important here with the parasites is that not only did the parasitic load decrease in the blood quite substantially, the whole environment in the blood improved so much that the parasites don't like it anymore because the high vibration of the quantum technology makes it that the parasites, they want to hide, they want to run away, they want to degenerate, they want to get out because they cannot stand the high vibration. Um, and so that is fascinating. Of course, we still recommend everyone does their regular parasite cleanses, keep doing everything that works. But if you use the quantum technology, you always have a better state, and everything else you do on top of that will work even better. So that is how we approach this. So this is an interesting one because this is about spike proteins in the blood. That was another study that was done for 6 months, and it also had a control group and it also had a treated group. It was randomized and double blind, and it found that in the control group that got not treated with quantum technology, everyone in the control group had traces of the spike protein in their blood throughout the whole duration of the study. So over 6 months, everyone always had traces of the spike protein in the blood. And now the interesting part is that no one, I repeat, no one in the treated group had any traces of the spike protein in the blood during the whole duration of the study. So that is quite significant. So I would say about 95% of our research is with humans. But we also did some research with animals, and this one is one of the most highly respected dog studies that have been done recently in Europe. It was done by the Besa Institute in conjunction with a veterinarian, so animal doctor, right? It was also placebo-controlled and randomized and blinded. And they had 4 different testing methods. They looked at the blood with dark field microscopy. They did a bioenergetic system analysis with a special device. It's a special testing device. Then they had the animal doctors, right, the veterinarians, to do their regular diagnostics. And then fourth was they had surveys of the pet owners. So the owners of the dogs, they filled out surveys. And it was all blinded, right? So placebo controlled. No one knew also of the owners which dog is treated with the quantum technology and which one is not treated with the quantum technology. And you saw in the dogs that were treated improvement in blood morphology, so the blood improved, right? They had fewer pathological structures and even a reversal of bacterial, um, how do you say this? Cyclogenesis. It's a difficult word, but basically reversal of bacterial load, you can say. And then the bioenergetic system analysis showed a neutralization of energetic stressors. And the veterinarians they diagnosed the dogs were calmer in their behavior, they had better sleep, and they had improved digestion. And then the pet owners reported the dogs were happier, they had more energy, and they had reduced anxiety. And again, it's important. This only happened with the dogs that were in the treated group. In the control group, it didn't happen. The dogs stayed sick. So what's very exciting is that we have some new products that we launched, and maybe Hero will also say something about this, but I want to introduce a few real quick. You can see the super block. You can see about the size of it, right? It's so big that a lot of people have it in the kitchen because then you can put even your plates of food inside. You can put your water jugs inside. But you can also, put your head and your shoulders in it or your hips, right? It's pretty big, but it's not too big. And then it's the most powerful block we have. And then we have launched a new travel and car block, and it's available in the square format. That's the old format, but it's also available in round, like the same shape as the super block, which I personally and most of our customers, they really like now this new design of the round because it has some more feminine energy in it. Um, it's not it's smoother. It's hard to explain. And the new travel block has a very high consciousness level. It has a consciousness level of 4,200 on the Hawkins scale. And with that, it's much, much more powerful than the previous versions of the travel block. And it's the first time that we were able to create such a high consciousness field in such a small device. Because in the past, we were only able to do that with bigger devices. Now it's also in the small device. And of course, I want to also explain why we do this, right? Why do we create something that's even more powerful? It is because, first of all, it's needed on Earth, that the vibrational level further increases. Second, it's possible now to have such high vibrational levels. 3 years ago, it would have not been possible yet to do it with these high vibrational levels. And then third is, of course, that we as a company, we don't just want to just stick what we had years ago. We want to continue to innovate and to make everything always better and try to take it to the next level, include new features, make it even more wonderful. Also, by the way, the super block, and also the new travel block, they have some wonderful additional features for water specifically. And as you will all know, something that has positive effects on water, the body is mainly water. It has these positive effects also on the body. So now you can see here, this is the brain support capsule, and I'm very happy to have this. It's a new frequency. We call it the brain support frequency. It was specifically designed to de-stress the brain while improving cognitive function. And the best way to explain how this frequency works is that I feel when I use this frequency, I can process so much more information at the same time. while I'm still in a very balanced state. So it's very powerful. And it has been stress tested with the most powerful, most advanced EEG device on the market. And then I don't know if we have another picture here. Okay, so we on the right hand side you see the caps. There's another capsule also that we launched, which is that's our flagship frequency. I would call it the flagship frequency, the so-called Heal 360 frequency. Heal 360 frequency. And that one is basically the new version of our old so-called heal frequency. The heal 60 frequency, even smoother, it's more powerful, and it targets all different levels of our existence. So it works on the emotional level, it works on the physical level, and it works on the energetic level to help us to get into self-healing activation. I hope that AI translated this okay.
Somehow.
Somehow. Okay, if you want to add anything, you know,
Sure.
let me know. Yes, and so these are just some pictures here and some examples of how people use the blocks. Here you can see the round travel block, by the way. You see where the apple is in or where it's held in the hand. That's the round version of the travel block. That is the one that I travel with. It fits in every car easily also. And, you know, this is the capsule. And that is pretty much it. So that was my presentation for today. And I hope you could understand me good enough. And maybe you have some questions.
で、もしなんか質問とかですね、あったら、と思うんですけれども、ちょっとチャットの方には、今のところ質問がないんですが、どなたかもし質問があったら、ぜひお願いしたいんですけれども、はい。はい。来ました、一つ。二つの円盤の間に周波数の違う環境が作られているということですが、二つの円盤の間、というのは、周波数を変えることで酸性に傾いた血液がアルカリ性に傾くということでしょうか。免疫が高まることは期待できますか。二つの円盤の中にというのは、この中にっていうことなんですかね。はい。まあ、とりあえずじゃあちょっと質問をしていきます。Okay, so there's some questions. First of all, okay, 二つの円盤の中に周波数の違う環境が作られている。手を入れたところ。Okay, there's one person who asking you, in between the plates, there are different frequencies created or just one, same field created?
There are not different frequencies, just pure quantum energy. So you can also call it a high consciousness field that is in between the two plates. We don't add a specific frequencies. Specific frequencies are, for example, in the capsule or in the water bottle and so on.
Okay, great. Okay, another question is that by changing, frequency.
But maybe to add that when you have a block, because one of the functions is that it can transfer any frequency you put in
Right.
into another object. For example, water, right? So if you take, let's say, your favorite healing plant, just take a little piece of it or your favorite supplement, put it inside the block, and a glass of water. After 30 seconds, you have the frequency in the water. Or you take a silver coin and your favorite healing plant, for example, put it in the block. After 1 minute, the frequency of the healing plant will be vibrating in the silver coin. So then you can hold the silver coin and it has the vibration of the healing plant. Just so that people understand that's what one of the many things you can do with a block.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, we all understand that. Thank you. Okay, another question.じゃあちょっと免疫が高まることが期待できますか？例えば T 細胞が、活性化されるなどということですね。So, yeah, you can expect by using quantum energy, your immune system will be, right?
Yes.
T,
Yes.
T cells, you say?
Yeah, I understand. So we have not done any specific research in regards to T cells, but everything that we've done in regards to um, the blood research, white blood cell activity, cellular function, ATP production, all shows the same thing, that the immune system improves and gets much stronger.
Okay, great. Okay, so,じゃあ次の質問がですね、普段から、インフィニティブロック愛用してますと。大変興味深い、ありがとうございました。プラセボは量子転写を行っていない同一タイプのブロックということでよろしいでしょうか。また人や動物の研究の場合はブロック内にブロックタイプごとの推奨時間、体の一部を入れる介入ということであってますでしょうか。あと、ホーキンススケールをどうやって測っているのか、可能な範囲で教えると。はい、じゃあこちら。Okay, so the question is the person who regularly use the infinity block. And, yeah, truly appreciate today's fascinating insight. And regarding the placebo, am I correct in understanding that it refers to the same type of block without quantum imprinting?
Yes, correct. Very well understood. So when there is a so-called sham-controlled study, right? For example, when we did the blood studies, all of that was done with a block that is infused with our technology, so with quantum energy. And there's another block that looks exactly the same, but it has no energy imprint, and then the people don't know which is which, and that is how that works. Yes.
Thank you. And okay, another question is that in studies involving humans or animals, is the intervention method to place part of the body inside the block for a few minutes, depending on the block type?
So there are different methods on how to go about dogs, for example. So if you have a dog, we have specific dog collars. That's the things you put around your neck. It's basically like the Heal 360 capsules, but for dogs. But it's not capsules, it's embedded in the dog collar. So you can use that for the dog. Or you can, if you have a block at home, the dog is always in the field because the block has a radius, right? So the dog does not need to be in the block. But if the dog has bigger issues, we even recommend, for example, if the dog has a broken leg or something that needs to heal, maybe put the paw or the leg inside the block for a few minutes every day to accelerate the process. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. And the last question from the same person. She says she'll be grateful if you could share how the Hawkins scale is measured.
Yeah, so does everyone understand the Hawkins scale, or do you want me to
Yeah, I think
share
so.
what it
Because,
is?
there was a book about power and the force.
Yep,
And
yep,
I think a lot of people, already knew it here. So,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. So you can test it with the Decavolt device, for example. You can test it with kinesiology, and you can actually see it. When someone is an advanced seer, you can see the level. So those are the three different methods on how, you know, we can test the Hawkins scale.
What is
But,
deca measurement?
yeah, it's a device that Dr. Voll developed in Germany many decades ago, and it's currently seeing a renaissance in Europe. So it's a testing device. You can analyze the function of your organs, for example, and different things, but you can also ask questions. It's like an advanced kinesiology, but it's kinesiology where you don't use your muscles, you use an actual device.
Okay.
But the most commonly used, like in the world, I would say the most commonly used method for Hawkins level testing is kinesiology.
Right. Okay, thank you. はい、他に、ご質問ある方はいらっしゃいますか？ Okay, maybe that's it, for the questions, and thank you so much for your time to give, amazing information to us about your technology.今からですね、ちょっと、今回新しく、ですね、紹介を、した商品方がありまして、ごめんなさい。それをですね、ちょっと、皆様に、ご紹介をさせていただきたいと思います。ちょっとお待ちください。すいません。はい。先ほどですね、でも説明がありました。で、水がすごい、最適なですね、状態に変化をするという、実験もありますけれども、それで、実際に使ったのがですね、この、スーパーブロックという、本当に、ちょっと大きいんですね。なので、今までよりももっと大きいので、例えば頭とかも入りますし、体を入れたりとか、施術とかでもですね、より使いやすい、大きさの、スーパーブロックというものが出ました。で、なおかつ意識レベルがですね、このブロックの中でも一番、高い、レベルに、設定がされているということです。そして、新発売記念セールということで、今、ウェブサイトの方でですね、20%、オフで、販売をしております。で、このセールはですね、今月末、の17時までということで、で、これ新しい製品になりますので、ちょっと発送の方が、11月に入ってからとなりますけれども、そうですね、記念セールということで、やらせていただいております。はい。で、こちらがですね、先ほど、もうお話ありました、ブレイン、サポートのカプセル、ヒール、カプセル。こちらもですね、相当、意識レベルが5600ぐらいまで、上がっているので、いろんなブレインフォグとかですね、認知とか、あと、脳にですね、良い、影響を与える、集中力とか、そういった、お仕事とかですね、講演とかそういった 時に、使っていたですね、カプセル、ネックレスですね。こちらも紐付きで、こちらの方も、特別価格、今月末、までですね、20% オフで、紹介をさせていただいています。あともう一つは、まだヒール、カプセル、新しくなった、こちらも、意識レベルがとても高くなって、なおかつ感情面、そして、身体面に対して、とてもヒーリング効果が、高い、エネルギーカプセルですね。こちらも、今月の17日までですね、20% オフということで、ご紹介をしています。で、また他のですね、インフィニティブロック、トラベルブロック、コンタムブロックに関してもですね、ちょっと、特別価格ということで、特別に今月末、ご奉仕をしています。そして、この中で特筆すべきのはトラベルブロックがですね、相当、ホーキンスの意識レベルでもですね、かなり高い、4000以上のですね、に設定がされたということで、持ち運びも便利ですし、とてもですね、おすすめです。はい。で、この、いろいろなですね、商品に関しては、弊社の波動ライフショッピング、こちらの方で、ご購入可能ですので、波動ライフショッピング、または波動ライフ .net、こちらの方に、来て、いただければと思います。はい。ということで、共有を今停止します。はい。そうですね。はい。すいません。今日はちょっと翻訳ということで初の試みでですね、ちょっとなかなか難しいところもあったんですけれども、このですね、コンタムブロックの技術が、ここまでですね、いろいろなことに効果があると、本当見えないね、やっぱりそのエネルギーなどで、なかなか難しいところはある。そういったいろんなリサーチをですね、実際に研究所でやってもらって、それを見える化しているという、そういうような情報をですね、今日シェアをさせていただきまして、お持ちの方もね、たくさんいらっしゃると思いますので、ぜひこれからもですね、有効活用して、心身ともにですね、健康な生活ということで、この量子エネルギーを導入していただければと、活用していただければと思います。はい。Okay, so Philip, thank you so much. And I know it's a little too late for you, so now we're going to finish. You like to say some final last words to our audience?
Yes, so thank you very much, first of all, Hero, for making the time and inviting me to the webinar. And thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate your interest in all of this, and I hope you all will have a wonderful, blessed weekend.
Thank you. はい、ありがとうございました。はい、それではですね、はい、この辺でですね、本日の、コンタムブロック開発者フィリップさんによる、Zoom 講演会を、終了とさせていただきます。土曜日の朝からですね、お付き合いくださり、また最後までお付き合いくださりましてありがとうございました。